Hey, besties and bosses, how are you? Happy Tuesday. I'm really excited. We always go live on Tuesday, but today we have free training. I always say I'm excited about my free trainings, but I'm very much looking forward to this one in particular. We are going to dive into how my clients and I are making more money during COVID-19 and how you can too. This one feels, I know we've been doing a lot of chats just around managing your mind to manage your business, how to manage the uncertainty that's coming up around the global pandemic. And as we've been talking about this, what I've noticed in the online space is quite a lot of noise around how it's not possible to make money right now, or how you have to kind of sit and wait, or just a lot of fear and scarcity, that fear city word I made up on a live training on a live stream. I'm just hearing a lot of noise about what is and what is not possible, and just people aren't buying, or if they are, you gotta slash your prices, or it's extra hard right now, or everyone's saying they can't afford it. And then when I'm taking a look at what's going on with my clients, I'm seeing that absolutely we're having to navigate and manage things, but there's across the board, my clients have been doing really well. They've been either maintaining, sustaining their income, and many of them have been making more money than they were before. And same for me in my business. So I really wanted to take a look at what's going on there. Why is that the case for my clients? Why is that the case for me? Because I think there's a conversation for all of us to have around this, and that's what we're going to dive into today. So I really took a look and spent some time really just looking over client notes, like what have we actually been talking about? What have we actually been doing? And today I want to walk you through the exact clarity, mindset, strategy, and action. That's my coaching framework. It is what creates success in business, hands down. I want to walk you through the exact clarity, mindset, strategy, and action my clients and I have been using right now to continue to get those results in business, to get more results in business. And quite honestly, everything we're talking about now is applicable for Corona, and it's applicable after Corona. It was applicable 6 months ago, and it's going to be applicable 3 years from now. So if you're watching now, if you're watching later, say hi. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I'll be sure to intro, because I know we got some new people here, intro myself before we dive in, but know that everything we're talking about is absolutely, literally the calls I'm having with clients right now and what's working now. But these are also principles that you can apply to your business long after we get out of lockdown. Cool. Say hey if you're with me. And again, if you're watching now or on the live replay, be sure to say hi and let me know if you have any questions when we go through this. I really want to make sure you get as much as you can out of this training. So ask any questions. If you're not clear on something, please throw them my way. I'm always happy to answer them. I want to be a resource for you during this time. And do yourself a favor, grab the bonus playbook that I sent to you along with this. There's some great questions and prompts you can journal on. I've had people tell me after free trainings that they've booked clients and made more money from my trainings alone. So hang out with me, ask your questions, let me support you. That is my intention with this. Now, I know we have new faces in the Facebook group. I know there are some new people who have signed up, so I will give you a very brief intro on who I am and why I'm even worth listening to, and then we will dive right into the content portion of this. So if you're new to my world, hi, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Kim Argetsinger. I'm a mindset coach and business mentor, and I work with heart-centered, passion-driven, creative, service-based entrepreneurs. They are my people, you are my people, and I help them to build, grow, and scale businesses that they're wildly in love with that also make them bank. So we're all about making money, doing what you love over here. I support my clients with the clarity, mindset, strategy, and action, exactly what we're going to walk through today, so they can get out of their own way, so they can take up more space like a boss, so they can rock their messaging, their marketing, their sales. We call it heart-centered sales in my world. And so they can get out there, yes, absolutely make more money and make profit in a way that feels good to them. That's my world. Everything you'll see in this Facebook group is around that. And I'm all about service first, which is why we're having this training. All right, let me just pull up my notes. Oh, this is what I want to share with you before we dive in. What felt really important to speak to, so you know why to listen to this, is I thought it would be helpful just to hear some of the client results that my clients have been getting, just so you can see what is possible right now. I know some of, the landing page I had for this mentioned some of this, but over the last month, those results have increased, and I want to share this with you, not to make anyone feel like bad or good or anything like that, but really just to help you see what's possible. And what these client results are literally what this training is based on and what we're going to be pulling apart. So this is all over Corona. I know on the landing page I said one client booked a 25K client and renewed another client at 25K. Since that was written, he booked another 25K client. Again, all during Corona. We're going to talk specifically about the strategy he used. I think it will blow your mind in terms of how simple it is. I said 2 of my clients booked their first paying client ever over Corona. That has now gone up to 3 clients, brand new businesses, booking their first paying clients ever over Corona. I'm sharing that with you because I want you to see people are booking clients at 25K and people are booking first time clients ever, brand new businesses. Both are possible right now. One client is nearly booked. Another client has booked their second, third, and fourth paying client all during Corona in a brand new business. The client that's almost fully booked, brand new business, all within the first 6 months. One client told me yesterday she just hit a record-breaking income month, which was $1,000 over her income goals. It's her highest income month ever. That is all during coronavirus. She also moved countries during this time, and she also launched a brand new first-time program all during Corona. Again, new business. This is, not someone who's been in business for 15 years plus. I want you to hear how both is possible. Both are possible right now. Let's see, I don't want to share. Another client who never booked discovery calls before, booked 3 times as many discovery calls as they were before coronavirus. One client messaged me this week, booked 12 warm leads in 9 hours. She also is one of the people who booked her first paying client ever. I could go on and on here, but this is just to help you see everything we're talking about today is based on those client results. And that's what's happening not 2 months ago, not in January, literally in the last 30 days while all of us have been in lockdown and Corona has been going on. Many of these clients have kids. One of my clients is very sick, not with coronavirus, gratefully, but has been creating, I think, tripled their income while being very sick and working less hours. I've continued to keep my 5K months consistent, or not 5K, 5-figure months consistent. I had a 20K cash month last month that I shared with all of you. And I share that again to let you see I'm walking my talk, and all of that has been without Facebook ads, doing it my way. I've never put a dime into any kind of Facebook ads or marketing. And so all of what we're talking about today, these are all strategies and principles that don't require a crazy funnel, that don't require Facebook ads, that don't require a bunch of spend up front, and they absolutely work, and they're working for my clients and me. All right, I feel like that is really important to say and to speak to. Oh, the other things that's important to speak to is most of my clients are renewing right now. I have a 90% renewal rate with my clients, and I think that's important to hear because, again, the noise online is no one's buying, people aren't investing, they're definitely not reinvesting, and that's just not true at all. So we're going to dive into how that's happening. I will preface with, I know we are in a global pandemic. I know people are being impacted by this. I want to be very mindful of that. I have all the compassion, all the grace in the world. My heart breaks for what people are going through. And with that, I still think we can also talk business, and it is okay for, if you're in the online space and you're a service provider and you're able to show up and work right now and make money, it's also okay to make money during this time. So I say that just to say there is beyond a large amount of compassion here for what's going on in the world, and a reminder that it can be both. You can have your heart bleeding for what's going on, and you can still show up in business and make money right now. And quite honestly, if you're making money right now, that's more money you can pour back into the economy. I know we've been able to donate a lot just because of that. So full permission to want to make money during this time, even though there's a lot going on in the world. Y'all are very quiet, so say hi, let me know if you have any questions, and we will dive right into and start with clarity. If you only watch one part of this training, if you just listen to this and you do the journaling questions, I promise they will help you in your business. These are things that I think they're almost basic and obvious, and it is amazing with the noise that's going on how much these questions and these concepts have been overlooked when it comes to clarity. What I think is so important when we think about business is having clarity on what our offer is, what our people are going through, what our personal needs and wants are, and really being clear on our messaging so we can speak to that and so we can focus everything in our business. What I find sabotages more businesses than you would believe is a lack of focus. It's not a lack of talent. It's not because they're not showing up. It's not because they're not taking action. It's not even because they don't believe in themselves. It's because there is zero focus. And if you think about a compass, when a compass is focused in a direction, you know exactly where to go and you know exactly how to get there. When a compass is spinning around, it's really tough to figure out how to go where you're going or to even know what direction you're spinning in. And so that's why clarity is always so important in business. Hey Danielle, nice to have you here. This is, I'm sweating. if I look really red, I got this new sweater. I just have to like side note with the stars. I just ordered it and I like really wanted to wear it with all of you because I love the stars and it's actually getting warm in New York City. So this is what happens when you have a little bit of vanity and want to wear a cute sweater. You sweat during your live streams. So real talk, hashtag real talk. So that is why I'm bright red right now, but I love the sweater anyway. Going back to clarity, what happened when Corona started, when COVID-19 started, is a lot of things shifted for people. Sometimes business needs shifted. Sometimes, the way we served people shifted. I have two clients who have offline businesses, and literally the way they're serving clients shifted. Sometimes messaging shifts. Sometimes, the offers had to shift. Things shifted because literally the circumstances in our world were shifting. And what I saw happen in the online space is with these shifts, we forgot to refocus our compass, to get clear again on where we're headed, what direction we're focused in. And then add in the fear and the scarcity and all like just this frantic energy. Suddenly people who were very focused were like throwing spaghetti at the wall and kind of like doing all the things because like, I got to show up, I got to make money, and then wondering why their income was going down or why they were feeling burnt out or why their business was stalling or why they weren't booking clients. And part of the reason for that, and why I want to talk about this piece in particular, is there was never a moment and never that CEO time to really stop and refocus and get clear on some of the core components that are absolutely essential in business always, particularly right now. So what I will say is my clients who are on fire right now, it is not an accident. We actually sat down and got really intentional and reset that focus so they knew exactly where to point their business. One of the things I think is helpful to think on is just how have your needs changed? How has your life changed as Corona has come up? I know for many of my clients, they have kids at home. Their life literally changed, and we had to get clear on how have their needs changed as a business owner, and how do we need to adapt or pivot their business to fit those needs. One of my clients went from she has a offline business and went to working at home and also has a child at home, and went down to 3 hours a week of available working time. We had to get clear that like a whole lot changed and her personal needs changed and literally her personal free hours changed so that we could adapt the business to sustain the income. She has a very, very successful business, multiple six figures to $1 million business, so that income could be sustained and she could continue to pay staff. If we were just like, it's fine, I can figure it out, we can just like move it online and it's fine, and we didn't address those changing needs, we would like half of what we were addressing on coaching calls was literally getting clear on how have her needs changed, how do we fit the business into that. The other thing we've spent some time really getting focused on, is something I invite all of you to do if you haven't done yet, is refocusing on what is the one offer you're selling right now that your people need. What I find in this space always, but particularly right now, is a lot of people are creating competition in their business with themselves. When we don't have a clear focus on that one offer and we're selling a whole bunch of stuff, it's really confusing to your audience, particularly right now when everyone is confused and there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of input. This is a time where we want to make things so simple for people and really get clear and focus on what do your people need right now more than ever? What is their biggest problem? And what is the one offer you have that addresses this? That's what we want to get clear and speak to, and what I've been supporting clients with, and what we've just been having a lot of calls with. When you have multiple messages, when you have multiple offers, your business it's kind of like you think there's competition online, that you look online and you feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much competition. You get into comparisonitis. What you're doing in your own business when you have competing offers and competing messages is the same thing. You're just creating competition within your own business and you're creating confusion. Confused buyers don't buy. And right now, with what's going on globally, with how people are feeling, people are overwhelmed. People's brains are at max capacity. People are also getting pitched left and right like they have never been before in the online space. If you're not clear and focused on one offer, you're creating competition within your own business that makes it really tough for people to buy from you. Hey, nice to have you, Jocelyn. Let me know if that makes sense. So go back to the playbook later and really get clear on what is the main problem my people have right now. Has it changed? It might not have changed. If it has changed, am I addressing that? And what is the one offer I have that speaks to that problem? And how can I double down on selling that and speaking to that which we'll talk more about in the strategy component. But how can I get really clear and focus in on that so I'm not creating noise and competition within my own messaging and business, so that my people know exactly how I can support them and there's no confusion. Let me know if that makes sense, y'all. I don't want to, because I've got a lot I want to share, I don't want to hit you over the head with this because I think you all understand that, but I think the other thing here, just as a reminder, when we're thinking about that one offer, which I know I talk about all the time, I'm going to keep talking about it because it's a game-changing thing to have that focus. What I see again right now is I think it comes from fear, and I think it comes from desperation. I think it comes from just a frantic energy that we're seeing a lot of. There is just this want to try to solve all the problems with it's sort of like before maybe you had one offer, but now people have more problems. You're like, well, I can help you with that, and I can help you with that, and I can help you with that. And it's almost like the spaghetti flinging has been like turned into a full spaghetti flinging party of trying to solve everyone's problems and do all the things. Nothing will sabotage your business results faster than trying to solve all the problems and do all the things in your business. So really do yourself a favor, and this is something every single one of my clients and I have been talking about, and I have been harping on them about, and I have been lovingly nudging them when they want to like come up with 15 more offers, is how do we keep this focused? All right, I'm just making sure. Last thing with the clarity that feels important here is really getting clear in your business on what's relevant right now and speaking to that. So what's relevant for your people right now? Yes, what's relevant in terms of the problems they're having, but also what's relevant in their life, and being able to pivot if you need to the way you're showing up and serving. You know, if you had an online business and you had an offline business, you had to go offline. For many of us online, a lot of how we're running our businesses hasn't changed all that much. So that is an irrelevant conversation. But what is relevant, what is often changes, how our people are feeling, what they're going through, maybe how they're interacting with us, what's going on in their mind, and being really mindful to be clear on what's relevant for your people and speaking to that. It kind of goes to the strategy piece we'll talk about later, but being sure to speak to that in your content and copy. Where I find at the beginning of when all the changes were happening, where I found some of my clients were struggling a little bit is they didn't want to speak to the pandemic, to COVID, because it felt like maybe they were taking advantage or it didn't seem right. I mean, raise your hand if you've been there, if you felt that way. It's normal. This isn't to call anyone out. I think it's a very normal, especially for the heart-centered entrepreneurs, way to feel. And so they weren't addressing what was relevant for their people. What that means, when you're not speaking to what's relevant in your content, your copy, people can't hear you. People hear and notice online the things that speak to what's going on in their head already. So when you're clear on what's relevant for your people right now, and you're making a conscious effort to speak to that, and you're really clear on that in your messaging, this is why it helps people to hear you. This is how it helps you stand out online, because there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. For my manifestors, you know all about this. It's the part of our brain that tells us what to focus on. Whatever's relevant for us, whatever's top of mind for us, we tell that part of our brain to notice information, opportunities that speak to that. It's why I think the like classic example is if you've ever wanted to buy a car, whatever car you're thinking of, suddenly you notice it all over the place. If I tell you to, pay attention to the color black, you're going to start to notice it, like in my sweater. That's all you're going to notice. Same thing, what's relevant for people right now, if you've noticed, everyone you talk to on the phone can't not speak about coronavirus and how it's impacting them and being on Zoom calls and et cetera, et cetera. So if you're not speaking to what's top of mind for people, they're literally not going to see or hear what you're saying because of how their brain is wired. And so I think it's just helpful this is a little bit of strategy, a little bit of clarity perspective, to really get clear on what is relevant for my people right now and how can I speak to this. When we get out of Corona, it's still what is relevant for my people and how can I speak to that as it relates to my work, so my people feel like they're heard and understood, and so they hear and understand me above all the noise online. Let me know if that makes sense. Just making sure, because I made some notes here. Last thing for the clarity piece that feels really important. It's going to sound so really, Kim, this is the advice you're giving us on this training. This is what helped people make more money. Do this one. I promise you, this is the simplest thing ever, and it is game changing. Getting really clear on what your sales goals are and writing that down. they've done so many studies on the power of goal setting, and they've done so many studies on if you write your goals down, literally people make more money when they do. They've done studies on this. This isn't me, but this goes back to the same part of our brain we're talking about, that reticular activating system. There is such power in really getting clear and focused on what are your sales goals and writing that down and creating that as your focus for what we just talked about, for that one offer you're selling, that really lights a fire under your behind, but also under your brain to put that into action and make it happen. And I'm going to talk specifically about the strategy, but if you haven't done this for yourself, this kind of goes back to that compass. If you're like, well, it'll just be cool to make some money, you've got a spinning compass that's like gonna spit you out wherever it finally stops. If you're like, oh, I know I want to make 5K this month in business and I want to book 5 clients. Let's just say that's your goal, and you're really clear and specific. Suddenly the compass is pointed on a true north, and you know exactly what to show up for in your business. This minimizes decision fatigue. This minimizes you sitting at your computer every day trying to wonder and figure out what you're doing, and it really helps you to direct all of your strategy and action into that goal. It makes it so much more likely you will have it happen. It's like a fun side tangent. The client of mine who hit a record-breaking income month this month, one of the things she did is got really clear and decided what were her income goals this month, what were her sales goal, and she surpassed it by 1K. But part of the difference for her this month versus other months was really sitting down and getting clear on that. So it's a little like manifesting magic, but it's also really practical science. It works. Do yourself a favor. If you don't do anything else, do that one. It's really powerful for your business and for stepping into that role as a CEO of your business. All right, I need a sip of water, and then we'll go over those questions for clarity and switch over to mindset and strategy. And let me know if you're finding this helpful so far. Let me know if you have any questions. I always want to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying, so throw it all my way. In terms of the questions, they're in your playbook, but there's just a few questions there to really help you dive into the clarity pieces we talked about. What challenge or problem are your people facing as it relates to your work right now? Get clear on that. That is going to make such a difference for you right now. And always, what do your people need the most right now? Has that changed from before? You know, your people's needs might have changed. One of my clients, their audience needs changed, and so did their problems and challenges. And we revamped her messaging, her niche, and her offer completely because of that. Most of you, that's not going to be the case, so don't take that as like, oh, I need to go change everything. But that came from this clarity. And then what is that one offer you're focused on selling? And what is that specific sales goal? Those are your clarity action steps. I promise you, if you do nothing else, that will help you create massive focus in your business and help minimize that decision fatigue so you know what to spend time on every day. All right, let's dive into mindset unless you have any questions. If you're new to my world, I'm going to tell you, I talk mindset all the time. I think the key to success in business and what creates business success is absolutely clarity, mindset, strategy, and action, and we need that competition. And I will lie down in the middle of the road. I don't know if that's a good way to prove this, but I am just such a firm believer that of those components, mindset is 90% of what creates success in business. The difference maker for clients, when I see them blow up, it is 9 times out of 10, it is because we've really leaned into the mindset piece. I'm gonna spare you my love song to mindset on this training, but we will chat a little bit more about that because I do think it's just that important. But mindset works with the clarity, the strategy, and the action. What I want to it's so important. I'm always talking about managing your mind to manage your business, but you need those other pieces. Mindset on its own is going to make you feel great, but if you don't have that clarity of focus and if you don't have the strategy and you're not taking action on that really specific strategy, you're just going to feel that it's not going to help you create money in your business. And that's why we're talking about all 4 components here, because I want you to have the mindset and that clarity of your strategy to take action to bring in revenue. Jocelyn, am I saying your name correctly, sweetie? She says, instead of focus on business support, I focus on my business to sourcing products and helping my prospects find manufacturers. I think that's beautiful. I think I think what you're saying here, if I'm understanding this correctly, instead of focus on business support, I focus my business on sourcing products and helping my prospects finding manufacturers. That still sounds like you're very clear on what your people's needs are and what their problem is that you're solving. So that is still a form of support, and that's still a form of service that solves your people's problem. I think the thing to remember with business is, at the end of the day, business is all about solving problems for people. You're solving a problem for people. It just might look different than the way other people are solving problems for people or for businesses. Jocelyn says mindset is very important. It's so important, y'all. All right, me and my sweatiness are gonna dive into mindset. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves for that. So I talk about mindset a lot. We've had a bunch of trainings all around managing your mind to manage your business and how to thrive during uncertain times. So those are all in the Facebook group. I don't want to rehash what we've talked about. What I want to talk about today is some of the very specific mindsets my clients have adopted that I am seeing as the common thread among the clients of mine who are really kicking ass right now and that I think are on fire. So I thought that would be more helpful since we have so many other trainings, and I can always link back to some that speak more to just managing the mind. Jocelyn says, yes, it is. I managed to finding PPE manufacturer. That's amazing. I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so mindset. So one of the things I think is most important to speak to on this is, I think we hear mindset, and I know I talk about this a lot, and think that when we're doing mindset work, it's just about being positive all the time. And what I want to say is every single one of my client has needed support and has had stuff come up. The difference is, and it's not like they don't have fears, it's not like they haven't had scarcity come up, it's not like they haven't had limiting beliefs come up, because they're human, having a human experience during a global pandemic. The difference is, and the difference for the clients I see who are just growing faster and really blowing up right now, is they're just doubling down on their mindset work, and they're really willing to come to our calls to talk about the hard stuff. And I think that is something we don't talk enough about in this online space. And when we talk about coaching, I really think one of the things that is game changing and can be game changing for you is being really willing to take a look at the ish that your brain is handing you. What I find happens sometimes in the mindset world is it's almost like we think it's the opposite. It's like, I just need to avoid this and like be happy and positive all the time. And that's not at all. I really like the clients of mine who are willing to bring the conversations that matter to the call and to look at their own BS over and over and over again. Those are the clients that blow up. One of my clients started a new business during Corona. Like, great time to start a new business, brand new business, and has already booked a client. One of the reasons this client was able to do that, we've worked together for 6 months on something completely different, and a lot of the work we've done is mindset work. This client has looked at their BS for 6 months, which meant when we started a brand new business, it was so much easier to execute on strategy because they were always willing to have those hard conversations and to dive in. Let me know if that makes sense. One of this again, I don't know if we talk about this enough in the online space, so you guys are either going to love this or hate me for this, but I think this is something I have seen across the board. The clients of mine who are really doing well, and when I say well, this is like, if you're brand new in business and you're booking your first paying client, that is amazing. That is just as amazing as hitting $1 million in business. It's where are you at in your journey? So this isn't about like that well means a certain dollar amount, but that I mean that are showing up and thriving right now and continuing to grow and scale. One mindset they have in common is that they take radical personal responsibility, and they do the work to take personal responsibility and to stay out of a victim mindset. I know that is not the same thing as like, let's be positive and I don't know, whatever stuff comes, and I'm all for positivity, but I think that's almost, it can sound a little harsh. But I think this is one of the most powerful mindsets you can have as a CEO, and quite honestly, as a human. I don't think we talk about it enough in business. I think right now in the online space with Corona in particular, the victim mindset is just getting churned up in people. And this is not to call anyone out. If you find yourself in a victim mindset, it's quite normal. Many people have adopted and learned a victim mindset because of how they were raised, because it's a way they learned how to get their needs met, because it was a way they learned how to get attention. There's usually some sort of fringe benefit meaning it might not feel good. It might not like actually get you what you want, but it might get you attention or compassion or someone's ear or someone to give you a hug or someone to commiserate with. But a victim mindset, and a victim mindset is kind of that woe is me, everything's so hard, this sucks, I'm on lockdown, no one's making money right now, no one's spending money, everyone's saying they can't afford it, this is so hard, I suck. All of these things that put you very much into that, like, life is happening to me instead of life is happening for me. That is a victim mindset. And again, this isn't to call anyone out. This is something that's completely shiftable. This is to help create some awareness. One of the best gifts you can give yourself as an entrepreneur when it comes to mindset work is really identifying where you have that victim mindset and shifting into taking radical personal responsibility and starting to see how life is happening for you and how you can show up for yourself. Especially right now when it feels like we have very little control. I mean, we have about the same control we've always had. Control is such an illusion. We have very little control. One of the things we have control over are our own thoughts and our own feelings and how we show up and respond to things. When you're taking personal responsibility, you put yourself in the driver's seat as a person and as a business owner. And so when the world feels like it's uncertain, you don't have a lot of control, you can feel very certain and in control because you're taking responsibility for what you're thinking and how you're feeling and how you're showing up. Hey, nice to see you. I always pronounce your name incorrectly, Patrick. He says your points are value bombs. Keep up the heat. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad they're value bombs. Thank you. So I put in your playbook just an area to journal around if you find that victim mindset coming up. Again, this is to create some awareness. This is not to call out anyone. This is said with love, with compassion. Always when we're looking at things, remember anything our brain has picked in the past has always been because it served us some way. We're always doing the best we know how in any given moment. So if you're finding that's true for you, that's okay. And you have the option now with some awareness to choose a different type of mindset and to step into that radical personal responsibility. I think one of the questions you can identify for yourself is just if you have been in that victim mindset, is just to check in, like maybe where did that come from? Where did you learn that from? Sometimes it's helpful to see, oh, I learned this from somewhere, which means I can unlearn it. And how has this served me in the past? And how is it keeping me playing small in business? How is this keeping me from showing up the way I want to? What might be different if I did show up taking that personal responsibility? That personal responsibility, I promise, that is a game changer and such a prerequisite for those record-breaking income months in your business and just for showing up and running your business like a CEO. All right, I'm just seeing, I'm realizing as I'm doing this training, y'all, I have so much I want to share with you, and I probably should have made this a 5-day training, so thank you for hanging with me, and for those of you on the replay as well. I'm gonna try to keep this as succinct as possible, but I know I just want to give all of this to you, so if you have questions and if you're watching the replay, but we probably will go a full hour and 20 minutes, just so you know for timeline. All right, but let's shift because I think you understand the personal responsibility piece. If you have a question, though, let me know. One of the other mindsets every single one of my clients who is making more money right now has adopted or that they've leaned into is the power of decision. I think we hear about this all the time in the online space and in the personal development space, and it's almost easy to dismiss it because we hear it so much. We hear it all the time because it's that powerful. Your power to make decisions. Again, this goes back to some of the few things we have control over. Your power to decide is one of the few things you have control over, always, but particularly right now when things feel uncertain. One thing I've coached all of these clients around that they've really actively leaned into is getting clear and deciding what's true for them during this time and deciding how they want this time in their business to look and deciding what their results are going to be. Now, this doesn't mean they haven't been freaked out. This doesn't mean they haven't had, insecurities pop up. This doesn't mean we haven't had to talk through worries. Again, everyone is human, but we have done the work to really get clear and decide, yes, they can make money. Yes, that's possible. And to decide how they're going to show up and what this time looks like for them. Jocelyn says leadership mindset. Yes, exactly. Leadership mindset. You totally get it. Thank you for chiming in, y'all. So, and they've all taken the mindset of every single one of them that right now is a time that can be an opportunity for them and seeing this time as an opportunity. Now, I know we talked about this on a different live stream. Opportunity is different than being opportunistic. But if you decide now is a time that can be full of opportunity, and that you can make money, and that you are going to show up and lead and thrive, and that's how you're going to run through this challenging time or through Corona. That is game changing, and what you tell your brain, which is going to dictate how you show up in your business and in your strategy. Let me know if that makes sense. Now, again, this does not mean they didn't come on a call and they're like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to handle this? This is stressful. Or they don't have client situations come up, or that they don't have worries. It just means they've done the work to manage their mind and to get really conscious and clear and decide what's going to be true for them during this time. The other thing we've been focusing a lot on is, with that, detaching from results. What is happening right now? This happens always in business, but right now, I think because scarcity and fear, I'm calling it fear-city, is very heightened, the desperation energy online is like super, super high. Desperation repels money. It repels clients, it repels money. If you believe in manifesting, if you believe in energy, the energy of desperation is the opposite of the energy of receiving. If we think about receiving is very much open and inviting. Desperation is very closed and tight. It's literally like closed fist versus open palms fist. Energetically, people can pick up on that. If you don't believe in energy and manifesting, when you're coming from that place of fear-city, subconsciously in your brain, it's going to affect the way you show up, and you will sabotage your results. And so we've been doing a lot of work around detaching, and how can we get out of that desperate, needy energy that like things have to happen now, and really leaning into, I'm always okay. This goes back to that personal responsibility idea. This kind of goes out, like, it's like making that shift, and it can be a subtle shift, but there's a shift from I'm really desperate, which is kind of like this, and we show up in our work differently, versus I've decided I'm okay. I've decided I'm going to make money right now, and open palms, open to receiving. And I just know I'm always inherently okay, and I'm okay in this moment, which means I can chill out a little bit, and I don't need to approach my business and run my business from this place of desperation and fear-city. If you can do that work, and I'm not saying this is always easy, this is why having a coach is hands down the best investment you can make. If you can do that work to lean into that detachment and to have more of the open hands instead of the tight the tight fist, I can't speak today, y'all. What you'll see is that changes completely the way you show up in your business, and the way you run your business, and the decisions you make in your business. It's going to change everything from your strategy, how you implement your strategy, how you talk to people on sales calls, how you put out content, how you do live streams, how you follow up with people. It's going to change every part of how you run your team, how you talk to your team. It is such a important shift to make. And I think one of the easiest ways to shift into that is to really spend some time getting clear on, how are you already okay? What's going well now? This kind of goes back to gratitude. And spend some time daily. How am I already okay now? What's good right now? The more you focus on that, the more you're going to open palms, detach, and get out of that desperate energy. And this is something every single one of my clients that's getting results right now has been practicing. And again, this does not mean they don't have things come up, or I don't have to coach them through it. It doesn't mean that they're perfect on it. It just means they are actively doing that work to detach. And in a time where I think the messaging can almost feel like the opposite, like you've got to be even more like wound up around like this desperate energy. The more you can unwind around that desperate energy, the more you'll see that you're able to book clients and receive money. Jocelyn says, I often thought desperation is part of the psychology about human behavior. Never thought is strategy. We're talking about mindset now, so I think it really does fall more into the psychology part and the mindset piece of business. But what I think is fascinating is when we talk about mindset in business, in many ways, mindset is strategy, in that it literally affects your strategy. But if we are the people running the business, if I'm the CEO running my business, my mindset, my thoughts, my head literally is what's creating the strategy and what's running my business. And so the more I can manage my mind, and the more my psychology is in a clear, neutral, grounded place, the more I can run my business effectively. And so I think in that way, mindset can be strategy, but we're absolutely talking about the mindset kind of psychology piece right now. So you're 100% spot on. Does that make sense, Jocelyn? I think we're very much saying the same thing. Thank you for the heart. I'm taking that as that makes sense. Okay. So we talked about and that's in your playbook as well. I think it's just a great journaling question. You can ask yourself this every day. How are you already okay now? What's good and going well now? Even if you have to find the tiniest little thing, the more you can focus on that, the more that list is going to grow. The more you feel okay and good now, the more you know you're in that role of personal responsibility as a CEO and that everything's happening for you instead of to you, the more your whole mindset is going to shift and you're going to approach business completely differently. When you approach business differently, when you think differently, when we show up differently, we get different results. One thing I know for sure, if you want next level results, you have to show up as the next level you person first, that next level CEO first. Different results require different thoughts and actions. Jocelyn says, yes, thanks. Glad that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for being here. The other thing that we've been talking a lot about from the mindset perspective, and then we'll talk strategy, and I've got some really specific strategy pieces for you, is, and this is a conversation I have with clients always, but particularly right now, is really focusing on, and I think this is everything we've been talking about with mindset, focusing on running their business like a CEO from that CEO they want to be. We've thought about how do you want this to look at the end of Corona? So let's say we are out of lockdown in another month. I think in New York, that's what it is right now. What do I want my business to look like? What do I want, looking back, how do I want to have shown up in my business? And how can I show up as that version of myself now? How can I show up as that CEO now? And how can I run my business as a CEO and business owner versus running my business based on emotions? This is something my coach has helped me a lot with and something I coach my clients around a lot. I think one of the things that spins business owners out more than almost anything is taking all of your personal emotion and turmoil and stress and fiercity and worry and then dumping it into your business and running your business from that emotional place. I am the most emotional human being you've ever met. I am sensitive, I am heart-centered, and I'm a CEO and a business owner. And I know when I'm running my business, it's okay, I can bring my heart into it, but I have to run my business as a clear-headed human who is approaching my business from a place of service and getting clear on what do my people need and what does my business need. And I can't do that if I'm coming from a place of emotion. I can do that when I'm coming from a nice, clear, grounded place. And so we've been doing a lot of work just around absolutely feel your feels and manage your emotion. And I cried 2 days ago. That's fine. I cry all the time. I have all the emotion in the world. And as a business owner and as a CEO, and when I'm making business decisions and I'm looking at my business strategically, I really need to make sure I manage my emotion, manage my mind, so that I can come in and run my business like a CEO. And so I think what can be really powerful for everyone is getting clear on what does that mean for me? What is a CEO version of me like? What does the CEO version of me think like? And when I this sounds almost like a callous. This doesn't mean you're a robot. This doesn't mean you don't have emotion, but it does mean your emotions aren't dictating your response. Meaning if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling scarcity, if you're feeling worried, if you're feeling not good enough, those are not the emotions we want to run a business from. And that's not where we want to make business decisions from. That's often when we make decisions that don't serve your business and that end up sabotaging results, or that's when people slash prices when it doesn't make strategic sense, or put out 14 new offers because they're freaking out because of Corona, or decide to create a group program when it literally doesn't make sense in their business or with where they're at in business. A lot of times that's coming from emotion running the business versus allowing your brain and your thoughts, managing your mind and letting your thoughts run your business. So from a mindset perspective, how can you take care of yourself and soothe yourself as a human outside of business so you're not asking your business to do the soothing for you? Because I think a lot of us use business as a way to soothe us, especially right now when there is just extra stress because of coronavirus and everything that is coming up around that. How can you take care of yourself outside of business so you're not asking your business to do that for you, so you can approach it from that clear and grounded place? And then I think a really fun exercise is how can you get clear on who that future CEO version of you is? This is something I did a year ago that led to my first 20K cash month. I got really focused on what was that next level CEO version of me? What did she think? How did she act? What did she believe? How did she show up? What was she available for? What wasn't she available for? And then I made a conscious effort every day to run my business as that next level CEO versus the present day me. Let me know if that makes sense. I've done a whole training on this. I'll have to drop a link for it because that could be its own call. But a lot of my clients and I've been talking about this, and we've been chatting about, okay, if we look forward 90 days, if we look forward 6 months, how do you want to look back and see this time in your business? How do you want to say you've shown up? How do you want to, what were the results? How are you behaving? How are you thinking? And we do that from the future. And then how can you start to do that today? How can you show up and be that person today? Because any results in your business, you have to first be that next level you before results come in. You have to think and feel and be that person in your business before results. Thought always precedes results. It's always thoughts that creates feelings, that create our actions, that create our results, not results and then we show up and suddenly act a certain way. Does that make sense, y'all? I'm like wanting to try to cram a whole mindset, like separate training in here, but I think this is such a powerful exercise, and I think it's such a powerful way to approach business, and it is something that I've seen just be really game-changing for many of my clients, and many of my clients who are really kicking ass right now are really spending time focusing on that next level them and showing up in their business that way. So in your playbook, there's a prompt for you to take a look at your future CEO self. Who is that version of you? And if you take a look back at this time after lockdown is over, what did this season look like for you in your business? What are you proud of and celebrating? Journal on that, get clear on that, because that's going to help you identify how you want to show up, how you want to think and show up and manage your business and run your business right now. All right. One last mindset piece for you that is actually a mindset and strategy piece, and then we will talk strategy. Let me know, those of you who are live with me right now, if this is making sense, if you have questions, if you're finding this helpful. I just see a comment here. All right, Jocelyn says, like now, because my business is new, I can't have any government help, grants, funding, support. I have to think outside the box to make my business keep going. I feel you on that. And I think what's really powerful that you're demonstrating here, I think that's such a great example of really taking that radical personal responsibility instead of leaning into a victim mindset. I give you so much credit. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I know it is not easy. Like, these are really challenging times for many, many people. And I give you so much credit because that's such a beautiful demonstration of, like, that's what's going on. And so you're taking personal responsibility and you're thinking outside the box to keep your business going, versus I think when we think about the victim mindset, it's so easy to let that be something that has you spin out and feel like, well, this isn't fair because I can't get that help. So I give you so much credit, and that's such a beautiful demonstration of that mindset. Jocelyn says, love this next level future CEO mindset. It is one of my favorite things ever. I swear so much of my business, like, that's where it comes from. I will find a link to the training. I think there's a live in the Facebook group, so I'll find the link and I'll drop it in the replay for you all. I did it last year, so it's buried in there if you want to watch it, because I think you'll really enjoy it. It's just one of my favorite things. All right, last mindset piece, and then we'll talk strategy. Thank you for hanging. This is so, I really should have made this 5 days. Y'all, thank you for hanging. I hope this is valuable for you. I know this is a long training. Okay. The last piece here that I have seen every one of my clients who is getting results right now really step into is showing up and owning their work and taking up more space online. So I talk a lot, one of my coaching program is literally called Stop Hiding in Plain Sight and Get Paid. I talk a lot about how we can show up and we can do things like check things off a checklist and like technically follow a strategy and not get results. And because we're just like, we're hiding in plain sight, and that encompasses a lot of things. We're basically doing the things, we're showing up, we're getting visible, but we're not letting people really see us. We're not really taking up space like a boss. We're not energetically and with our words taking up space and owning our space and owning our work and owning our words and owning our value and owning our brilliance. We're just kind of like check, like someone said I need to post some content, so I just like threw it out there. one of the biggest I will always talk about this. I think one of the biggest shifts for clients, and one of the biggest shifts for me, quite honestly, in business, has been shifting from that hiding in plain sight to really leaning into taking up space like a boss. And the clients I see right now who are just continuing to grow and scale in, all different levels, they are doing the work. And this is not always easy, you all. For me, this has been the biggest part of my mindset work has been being able to take up space like a boss, because y'all, before doing mindset work, I just wanted to hide. So if that's you, totally normal. We've done so much mindset work with my clients though around how can they really either feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable or shift some of the fears and worries that come up around taking up space, so that they can right now really show up online as a leader, really take up space, not just, check things off of a strategy to-do list, and really own their message and own their work. And I'm even going to say brag. I know we've had a whole live about bragging, and I'm a big fan of bragging, and I think people have bragging misunderstood, but really shouting from the rooftops, I'm fucking brilliant at what I do, and you should hire me, and here's why. And this is what I do, and I'm so damn great at it, and you should talk to me, and I can help you. And quite honestly, for most people, that kicks up so much stuff, and that's normal. But that's why I'm sharing this here into the mindset. If you can do the mindset work to really shift out of hiding in plain sight and into taking up more space and really owning your work and owning why you're just so damn good at what you do and why you're the solution people need, that is rocket fuel to your business. Hands down, always. That is rocket fuel and gasoline and igniter fluid, and I'm trying to think of all the other fire things. That is what will blow your business up in the best way possible. And part of the reason for that is to be able to take up space and really here I am and I'm great at what I do. It requires a lot of mindset work for most people, and that's okay. But that's something that if you're going to focus on anything, I think that's something that just to start to identify and start to do the mindset work around, because the more you do that, that's right now and always, the more you're going to stand out online, and the more you're going to attract your people to you, and the more you're going to create safety with your people, and they're going to feel oh, this person can help me. I feel safe with this person. This person is legit. And in the online space, that's so important, that safety piece. So you being willing to take up more space is going to create more safety with your people. More safety with your people translates into more sales and more clients and more revenue. Does that make sense? Okay. I can think of 2 clients off the top of my head where that has been the piece we've been playing with for however many months, and that is the piece that when they shifted, that is when the booking started happening. Just to use that as some evidence. Okay, that's the mindset component. I know I threw a lot at you, but those are the commonalities, the common threads among all my clients and what's worked for me as well. And I think those are all things, if you take a look at the playbook and journal on some of the prompts in there, these are all things that are really going to help you shift your thinking and your mindset and help you show up in your business in a different way. And these are all directly correlated to your income and impact. Promise. But mindset without strategy is great, but we need mindset and strategy in business if we want to have a business that is sustainable and profitable and something that is running for us like a well-oiled machine. So let's chat strategy. We already talked about focusing on that one offer. We talked about that clarity piece. And I think that ties into strategy. And just as a reminder there, we don't need to re-talk about that, but really just getting clear on what is that one offer you're focusing on right now, particularly right now when there is just a lot of noise online. How can you make it really simple and easy for your people? When it comes to strategy, what my clients and I have been focusing on and really making a conscious effort is to simplify everything as much as possible. I'm always about simple strategy. I do not think strategy needs to be complicated. In fact, I think when strategy is complicated, there's a good chance you are not getting results in your business, because complicated strategy tends to either come from someone feeling like they're not good enough or they need to prove something, from a mindset component, or it comes from not being really clear, that clarity piece, and not really knowing what brings in results. The best strategy is simple, So if your strategy feels really complicated, I think that's just an invitation. This isn't to call anyone out, but it's an invitation to check in on, why is my strategy so complicated? Is there something coming up with my mindset that I'm overcomplicating this because it makes me feel good, or like feel like I know what I'm doing, or it helps me prove something? Or is there something here where I'm just not clear? I don't actually know what my pathway to bringing in clients is, and that's why I'm overcomplicating things, because I'm just like hoping something will work. If your strategy is simple, there's a good chance it's working. Simple works. Complication, again, just a good red flag for you. I know when a new client comes to me and they've got a lot of complicated strategy, we got to figure out what's going on there. Particularly right now. In general, many of my clients don't have as much time as before. You know, they've got kids at home, they're homeschooling, or I have one client who's sick, or their life has changed because of what's going on, and everyone's brain is just a little more at max capacity because we're all in front of screens and there's just more noise in our face. Not even in a bad way, it just is what it is. I mean, I know if I open up my inbox, I've got double the emails I used to have. Because of that, it's that much more important that we keep strategy very, very simple, so that it's easy to take action on, and so that it's really easy for your audience to follow the path that customer journey you've created for them. Does that make sense? So first and foremost, I think it's just a great thing to check in on. Is my strategy complicated? If so, how can I simplify it? Where is my opportunity to simplify it? If I simplify this, how might that help me create more results? When we think about that, we talked about this last week on last week's live training, so I won't go into this strategy piece too much, but I think it's really worth repeating here. One of the things my clients and I have been talking about a lot is the 80-20 principle. I've been like talking about this nonstop because I think it is just so important always, but particularly right now. And I'm going to explain why. This is actually something we didn't talk about the live training last week. If you've never heard of the 80-20 principle, it essentially means that 80% of your results tend to come from 20% of output. This is outside of business and this is in business, meaning I know for me, for example, 80% of my revenue comes from 20% of my offers, and I also know that 80% of my clients come from 20% of my strategy, like what I'm focused on. What I find really gets people in their way in business, particularly right now when time is limited and you don't have as much time to F around and maybe you're a little more frazzled, is we have this ratio flipped around and more people are focused on the 80% of things to do that bring them 20% results. They're selling the 80% of offers that bring them 20% of their revenue, and they're doing 80% of their strategy and things that bring them 20% of, clients or revenue. And so my invitation to you, and what has been really helpful for my clients, is really identifying what is that 20% in your business that brings in most of your results, and how can you double down on that? So I guess technically that would make it 40% of your time, but it would still be a 20% in terms of the strategy, the actual thing you're doing. The client who booked 25K clients, I think it's really helpful to know we had a call where this client wanted to start a email funnel strategy. This client doesn't have an email list right now. So helpful to know, booked 2 25K clients this month and renewed a 25K client without an email list. This is not saying email lists are not helpful. I have an email list. Email strategies are great. However, that is not the 20% that was driving 80% of this client's results. And this client happens to be sick as well. So there's not a lot of time for the business. So it literally would not make sense if what we identified was most of the results were coming from relationship building and referral sources. It literally didn't make sense if that 20%, that's where the results were coming, if to suddenly go out and start an email list and to start an email funnel and to cross our fingers and put all this energy and effort into that and hope that would bring results. That wasn't even part of the 80% that would bring results. What did make sense and what I coached this client on is we identified that 20%, and this client doubled down on serving clients really well. I mean, this is going to sound crazy simple, but this is the truth. Serving clients really well, the content they were putting out, and asking for referrals, basically. that's how those results happened. Those results probably would not have happened if we had spent all of the time creating an email funnel and focusing on an email funnel and sequence. Now again, do not hear this wrong. Email funnels are great. Email sequences are great. This is not hating on email funnels or sequences. What this is saying is it's really important to get clear on what is that 20% for you that's driving your revenue, and doubling down on that instead of, because things are going on in the world, deciding you need to add in a new strategy or focus on the 80% that brings in 20%. I've just said those numbers a bunch, so let me know if that lands and if that makes sense for you. Because I think that is, we did a whole training on this, so I don't want to, and we've been on for an hour, so I don't want to overly talk about that, but I think this is something that can be game-changing always in business, but particularly right now, really, really, really important. And it will keep you from spinning out and feeling like you're throwing spaghetti at the walls. It's 7 o'clock here. Do y'all do this? Everyone claps outside for the nurses and for all the service workers. So usually I'm on the roof clapping and playing. I played New York last week. So if you hear clapping, that is what that's for. It makes me so, so happy. There's someone down the street who bangs pots and pans. Okay. The 80-20 principle is also how, one client who has 3 hours a week, how we're able to run the business on that. We had to get really focused on what is that 20% that's driving results and really trim the fat and delegate the rest, quite honestly. But we had to really trim the fat and get really locked and focused and intentional with that time. That is essential. If you have kids at home and you have less hours to run your business, that is so, so, so essential if you want to keep bringing those results or get more results right now. Okay. Let's see. The next thing we're focusing on is really tightening up messaging and being very clear and specific in messaging. So in the clarity piece, we were talking about, what are your clients' needs right now? What are their problems right now? Something I've been supporting my clients with is how, can you hear the pop banging? How can we really narrow in on marketing, messaging, and really tighten it up? Specifically right now, because of what we were talking about, because there are just so many more people online, people's brains are a little just like full with everything. We need to make things as clear for people as possible and help people understand what the problem is you solve. And we need to be able to speak to that over and over and over and over and over again. And so one of the specific strategies we've been really focusing on is just messaging and really tightening that up and getting really clear and results focused and making sure we're not all over the map. Let me know if that makes sense, because I don't think that necessarily requires a lot of explanation, but I'm happy to answer on anything there. We talked about leaning in, taking up more space. I think that's a bit of a mindset and a strategy component. What I'll just say, just here from a strategy perspective, is people right now, and this is what we were talking about before, they need safety. People need to feel safe. Things feel very uncertain. The more certainty you can create, the more safety you can create, the more people are going to feel safe spending money. The more you have to feel more certain in your work than your people if they're going to feel safe handing over money to you, which means you really have to be grounded and certain and own and safe in your work, and that's what you have to communicate. And so when we talk about owning your work and taking up space, so much of that is, I am just so certain. I am so, so certain in what I do and that I can help you. I am so certain this is a great place to spend your money. That creates safety, and the more you can speak to that in your messaging and the more you can own that, again, the more people are going to their shoulders are going to relax, and it's not going to feel so scary to invest. Investing for many people already kicks up a lot. And then right now, there's just, those added layers of fear and scarcity. So this is just, I cannot speak to how much of a strategy and a mindset piece this is, because it really helps with the buying psychology and what helps people feel good about spending money. So I think this is just in the playbook. What I asked you is, what message do you want to own during this time, and how can you really step into that leadership with your people and really just show up from that place of certainty, so that you're not asking your people to be more certain than you are in the buying and in that sales process and that buying experience. Okay. This is something I talk about a lot. This is not new, but this is absolutely what all of my clients, I would say all of them, are focused on right now. And that is relationship building and service and sales. and kind of in that order. So something that just doesn't change in business, I always say the core of a successful, profitable, sustainable business are connections and are those relationships. That does not change right now. I think we want to think things are different and that like actually there's like a weird, complicated formula out there. It's not. It's relationships. It's still relationships. It's always going to be relationships. And so sorry, I have to like resituate here. All my clients are focused on relationship building, and my clients who are doing really well, they're just doubling down on relationship building, and they're really doubling down on how can I serve more. Many of you know, I'm an ex-waitress. I spent 10 years waiting tables when I acted in LA, my previous life before my business. I have so much, like I am a service person and now I have a service-based business. Like I am all about service. And what I know for sure is the more you serve, the more money you make. Like this sounds silly, but when I waited tables, the more I showed up, the more tables I waited, the more drinks I delivered, literally the more money I made. As a coach, the more I serve people, the more I show up and serve, the more money I make. The more I make relationships and show up and serve, the more money I make. It's just how it works. And so this is how like strategy can start to get really simple. What I think right now is, again, because of some of the fear and scarcity coming up, it's almost like we're looking for that magic bullet and that secret formula, and we forget these core principles. And the truth is, if you want to make more money right now, the easiest way to do that is to double down on relationship building and to double down on service. How can you show up and serve more? How can you show up and connect more? That's always going to make you more money in your business. Like it just is. I know for me, what that looked like is the first week this happened, I was like, okay, how am I going to connect more and how am I going to show up and serve my people more? I think I went live every day that first week and like put out a new like training to support all of you. I was on my stories every day on Instagram. I was putting out more content really specific to this because I wanted to be of service. I opened up those scholarship sessions. I think I did like 20 or 30. I did a ridiculous amount of scholarship sessions in the best way possible. Like I loved doing those. I loved the people I connected with. I was like, how can I show up and serve? How can I just show up and serve? And that has absolutely then led to sales in my business. My coach, one of her clients has an affirmation that my coach gave to me and I now give to my clients. And it's something along the lines of, I show up and serve and the universe meets me halfway and gives me money and clients. I play around with it, but I think it's just such a beautiful way to think about this. If you show up and build relationships and serve, if you believe in energy, or if you just believe in like the way business works, you're going to get met back with clients and business. If you want to make more money, show up and build more relationships and show up and serve more. Like it can be that simple. And then on top of that, the other thing we're focused on and I'm having all of my clients really focus on is selling more. If you want to sell more, sell more. And what we focus on is what I call, this is something I came up with, is the difference between active and passive selling. I think you need a combination of both. But for most heart-centered entrepreneurs, I find we focus on the passive selling and not enough on the active selling. And so right now in particular, I'm really having clients focus on that active selling piece and doubling down on that. The difference between passive selling would be, creating content, but not putting an offer at the end. Content's absolutely a way we connect and build relationships. It's of service. It's a way we sell our work. But that's a very passive way. It's a very passive way we sell because we're hoping people will connect the dots and figure it out and come back to us. Active selling looks like putting up a sales post, promoting your work, asking people to get on a call with you, asking people to buy from you, asking someone, following up with someone and asking if they want to invest in your services, reaching out to a contact and seeing if they know anyone who, could be a good referral source for you. I'm making things up here, but those are all active sales actions. And we need to have both, absolutely. But right now, always, but right now, what I'm coaching clients around and the clients who are just making more money, they're really focused on relationships, like doubling down on those, and then also doubling down on those active sales actions. They're absolutely focused on the passive sales actions as well, but really making sure to consciously show up and take those active sales actions, those money generating sales actions. And I know that almost sounds too simple, but it can be that simple. If you can focus on building relationships, showing up and serving, and doing both, this is not about burning out. Again, I have clients who have 3 hours a day to work. This isn't how do you do this for 20 hours a day, but how can you lean in and do this more for your people? And then how can you actively sell more it's kind of impossible not to make more money in your business. Jocelyn says, love the scholarship chat. Me too. I loved connecting with you so much. I'm really glad I did those. I think I'm gonna have to do some more of those next week, y'all, because I really enjoyed those. You will have to let me know, everyone watching the replay, if you want me to put some more of those out, and I will. All right. What I will say, I wanted to give you a few more specifics on the strategy, and then we will close out with action. In terms of, so we talked the active and passive selling. The other thing from the sales perspective, when we think about that active selling, that I think is important to speak to, that I've been chatting with my clients about, is really making sure, like, yes, we know that one offer we're selling, and then we also are clear on the customer journey and what that next step that we're selling is that makes sense. So we've talked about this in another training, but a customer journey, it's really that path people take from when they meet you, from when you're visible, from when they meet you to when they become a paying client or customer. What I think is really important is thinking about this like relationship building, sales are relationship building, and making sure we're clear on what is the next step in that relationship building process, and making sure we're selling that next step. What I find happens all the time in business is people sell 3 steps ahead in the relationship and the customer journey, and they miss out on sales because of that, because that relationship hasn't been formed yet. This happens all the time in business, but particularly right now, I think because of just a little bit of that desperation and fear and scarcity, there's a want to like throw what makes sense in business out the window and throw relationship processes out the window. And really, when I think about a sales process, it is a relationship building process. Throw out, human psychology, throw that out the window and just jump to the thing that's going to fulfill our needs. And I think what's really important from a strategy perspective is to remember this isn't about fulfilling your needs. This is about fulfilling your people's needs. This is about being of service and solving problems for your people. And the best way to do that, the best way to be of service is, and the easiest way to sell more is to be really clear on this customer journey and to be really clear about what is that next obvious step in the relationship that you're offering and selling to people. So for example, I offer high-end one-on-one coaching. It's thebomb.com, y'all. You should all work with me. However, what I lead with, for example, if you're here, is I have been actively selling this free training. This is a free training. This is a part of, I want to give this to you. This is a part of my service. This is a part of my relationship building. But this is also a part of my relationship building to get to know me, to get to understand my work. Oh, my phone battery's dying. And a part of my sales process and the customer journey. Is the light still working on this, y'all? Hopefully that's still working. And it makes way more sense for me to sell this training than it does for me to just directly sell my one-on-one coaching all the time to new people. I need to be clear on that so that I'm really clear when I'm making those active sales actions and I'm showing up and making sales actions and offers to my audience. I need to be really clear on who I'm speaking to, where we're at in a relationship, and what makes sense to invite them into to build that relationship. Like, what's that next thing I'm selling? Even free stuff we sell, y'all. Does that make sense? Because I know that's a bit of it's its own concept, and we can always do another training on that if it isn't clear. But that's something that I think from a strategy perspective is always important, but particularly right now, if you're focused on that simple strategy and you're focused on how can I double down on relationship building, how can I double down on service, how can I double down on active sales actions and offers, and how can I really be clear where people are at in my customer journey, so I'm making the next step offer invite to them that makes strategic sense to build and further that relationship. Does that make sense? That makes sense, y'all? I promise that is something that will help you get fully booked, make more money, hit those record-breaking income months. And I think, again, this is something always that goes out the window and can feel a little counterintuitive, but especially right now when I think it's just our brains are in a different place, and I think there's just a little more of that, the fear, the scarcity that's coming up, and that desperation that's running the show. And this is where mindset is so important. You can see how mindset interplays with strategy. That's how, if you're in fear and you're not managing your mind, it's really easy to make decisions in your business that aren't strategic, versus when you're managing your mind, it's a lot easier to get really clear and make those strategic decisions in your business. And so you know what to actively sell to or what to invite people into. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So go into your playbooks. There's some questions for you there, but one of the questions is, what is that next step in your customer journey that you want your audience to take? What opportunities do you have to serve and sell? Outline those for yourself and commit to taking them every single day. Is there an opportunity for you to double down on them? If, this isn't about burning out, but sometimes it's as simple as, can I just lean into what I'm doing a little bit more than I was before? And then how can I keep my strategy really simple? I think it's an invitation to check back. Is there an opportunity for me to simplify? Is there an opportunity for me to even simplify how I'm communicating with potential clients and my audience? Because the more you can simplify things in your business, the better your results, the more that means your strategy is, like, you should be able to describe your strategy to a 5-year-old. If a 5-year-old can't understand your business strategy, there's a good chance there's something that needs to be kind of cleaned up there. And the more you simplify your strategy and what you're doing, the more you're gonna be able to simplify the process for potential clients and new clients. And simple strategy means your people are clear. It's easier for them to buy. As soon as your people are confused people do not buy you all. They don't buy. So what we want to do is keep it clear for us and keep it simple for us so we can keep it simple for our people. Jocelyn says, yes, it's making sense. Energy management. Absolutely energy management. All the way. Okay. Final piece here. And then we'll be able to wrap this up, I think, in about 10 minutes, y'all. Thank you. I know this is a longer training. I hope this has been valuable. I really thank you for hanging with me this long. I want you to have all the pieces here because I want everyone to be able to go out there and make some money and help our industry online do really well through this time. And I hope you will all take what I'm talking about today and implement it in your business because I want to hear back from some of you that this helped you make some more money. Okay, so the action piece. We've talked clarity, we've talked mindset, we've talked strategy. Those are all really important. None of those do fuck all for us in business if we're not taking action on our strategy and if we're not taking action on our mindset, quite honestly. Action is the piece that pulls it all together. Action is the piece that takes your strategy and brings in the clients and brings in the money. There are lots of entrepreneurs who are brilliant and talented and have so much potential that aren't getting results, not because they don't know strategy, not because they're not working on their mindset, but because they're not taking action. They're not taking that consistent action. It's just such an important piece of business. And every single one of my clients, this is something I'm lovingly checking in with them on and that we're talking about to make sure they're taking action. I want to be really specific about what kind of action because I think there's a few things here that come up for me that I think are helpful to hear. What I think is important to know is action gets confused with hustling harder all the time. We are not talking about hustling harder and burnout. Again, I have many clients who have less time than ever, who have 2, 3, 4 hours a day to run their business. We are talking about aligned action. That's where that clarity is important. That's where that strategy piece is important. We're also talking about what I call healthy hustle. A little healthy hustle never hurt anyone. Healthy hustle is showing up to take action on that aligned, that clear strategy, that clear focus. That is not hustling harder, which tends to come from a place of insecurity or from a place of, that creates burnout. So I really want to make sure we're clear on the difference, but you absolutely have to take action in your business, even if you're running the 4-hour work week, which 4-hour work week has a lot of outsourcing. Someone is still taking action to run a 4-hour work week. That Tim Ferriss's book, that principle is very much, a lot of that, by the way, is based on outsourcing. So you're paying someone else to take action for you. You still need the action piece. So we talked about, we talked about the aligned action. So there's one of the things I see for clients who tend to get results faster and who are making more money right now is they're taking fast action. Now, I think that gets confused with not having standards or not applying strategy or not caring about your work and putting out sloppy work. That is not what I mean at all. What I mean is literally fast action. So much time is wasted. We talked about this last week, spending time getting ready to get ready. I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs right now who feel like they're taking action and really they're researching and they're studying and they're taking another course and they're downloading another freebie and they're getting ready to get ready. They're preparing to get ready. They're figuring out how to do the thing that's going to do the thing that's going to help them do the thing that's going to allow them to be ready to take action. That's not taking action on your strategy. That is delaying action. That is not action taking. I say that with so much love. I'm not calling anyone out. I am just lovingly letting you know what we're talking about here. The clients I see, the longer time there is between an idea and implementation, the more resistance there is around taking action, the longer you're delaying your results, and those are the clients I adore, but it just takes longer for their results to come in, quite honestly. The clients of mine who take fast action, who have an idea, not a distraction idea, but an idea that makes sense in their business or a strategy, and take that immediate action and are willing to learn as they go and to, quite honestly, fail forward and to take that fast action, they're the ones who are getting faster results. Many of you know I started the Money Makers coaching partnership this month, which is 1-on-2 coaching, me with 2 clients at the same time. And I just had my second call today with them. I adore them and I adore the program so much. This was an idea that came up during Corona, and it was an idea that was really clear, made sense for me, that I wanted to do, that I was an all in hell yes on. It made strategic sense. Like, all the boxes were checked. It was aligned. I took action the next day and started promoting. That's why it's filled within Corona. Like, I had the idea, I took fast action on it. That's why it's filled, and that's why I'm running it. I could very easily still be talking to people about it and brainstorming it and like thinking if it's a good idea and researching how to do it and seeing how other people are doing and checking out that other coach who has a program that's kind of like it. And I promise you, none of that would be action. It would feel like I'm doing a lot, and it's just a way to delay results. And quite honestly, it's a way to water down your ideas, because then you have all this other input. So fast action, again, not sloppy action, not action that doesn't have a standard. We're not like just half-assing things, but taking action quickly. If you have an idea for a training, the week of when Corona happened, that week, I was like, I got to take action. I need to show up for my audience. I showed up and did a free training that week. I didn't spend 4 weeks deciding if that made a good idea. I did it and showed up, and I did it the best I could. Would it have been better if I did it, spend a month planning it and researching it? Maybe. But y'all wouldn't have had it. We've had like 6 trainings since then. And so that's just an example of fast action. Fast action is going to get you faster results and make you more money. Fast imperfect action, I should say. And again, this does not mean we don't have standards. It does not mean we're not always doing our best. I always strive to put out quality work, and my work is imperfect as can be, because I know to put out the amount of content and to be of service at the level I want to be, it cannot be perfect. And if I want to take fast action and not sit in indecision and in over-researching mode, it just isn't going to be perfect. And my imperfect action is going to serve and help so many more people than whatever perfected action I might have created if I spent a month thinking on it. So I know that's not a new concept, but I think it's really important to hear, especially right now, because I think there's just like such a want to not mess things up and not get things wrong. And we're in a new, like, no one has experienced this before. No one's ever been in a global pandemic before that I know of. There is no right way to do this. We're all figuring this out as we go. The way you're going to keep getting results, the way you're going to keep making money, is to keep taking that fast action and figuring it out as you go, versus waiting until you figured it out and waiting until you're ready. That is the quickest way to quite honestly sabotage your business and to stall your income. Let me know if that makes sense. The client of mine who had the record-breaking income month this month and surpassed her income goals, she launched a new group program this month. And we chatted about it. It made complete strategic sense for her for where she was at in business. It was a new idea. She took fast action. She launched it during this time. The program she's creating the program as she goes. That's an example of fast action. She could have easily spent the next 3 months brainstorming it, planning it, pre-recording it, doing all the things, and she wouldn't have a program. Instead, she's sold it successfully. She has people in it. She's running it. She's going to be through it at the end of this and be able to rinse and repeat that. That is what fast action gets you in business. It is game-changing for your results. It also means, look, here's the other thing with fast action, quite honestly, that you might not want to hear. Fast action also means you just fail faster. The great thing about failing faster is you can just pick yourself back up and go to the next thing. We're all going to fail. Like, that is just part of business. Business is all about testing, right? Like, none of us know the answers ahead of time. The faster you can take action and the faster you can fail, the faster you get the data. And I don't even really believe in failure. I believe in feedback and information, but the faster you can get that feedback and information and take a new action that makes sense. The longer you delay taking action, the longer you delay getting that data and feedback, and the longer you delay getting that information that you don't even know like what that feedback is. So for example, with that client, had we spent 3 months planning out this program and launch, let's say people didn't want it and it hadn't been a successful launch, like that can happen. We would have spent 3 months waiting to get that data, and then have had to take that data and feedback and, start over, versus, I mean, it did sell very successfully, but versus just launching and taking that fast action and getting that immediate feedback. Let me know if that resonates with you all, if you have any questions. Let's see. And I think with that, again, just this feels important to say, fast action does not mean take fast action on all the things. I talk about this a lot. That's not what this training is necessarily about. But going back to that clarity, going back to that 80-20 principle, knowing what are the few things you're taking action on, what is that 20% you're taking action on, what makes strategic sense for you, versus taking fast action on all the distractions. Taking fast action on distractions, like, oh, I just found another course and there's a new strategy I'm going to do, and someone else told me I need to do this random thing and hop on this platform. Taking fast action on distractions is a great way to not move forward in your business. So we're talking about fast action on that 20% that makes sense for you and your business, that's bringing in results, on those money generating activities, on the things that strategically move your business forward, not fast action on the distractions, which is actually sabotaging behavior. Jocelyn says trial and error better than not taking action. Absolutely. 100%. And I think what you'll find is the more you take fast action, it might feel like trial and error, but usually it's actually, most of us it's still quite strategic. We are just getting information. And the more you take that fast action, the more you get that information, so you can refine your process and keep rinsing and repeating and doing it better and better and better. So you keep getting better results. That's how businesses scale. They keep doing the same things better, essentially. Okay, I think I want to be mindful of the time. We've been so long, y'all. Thank you for hanging. And thank you for those of you who are still with me. We're gonna wrap this up quickly with the action. So we talked about this already, but in terms of action, the other thing my clients are focused on, and I am as well, daily actions for connecting, building those relationships, sharing content. They're sharing content daily. They're serving daily. So oftentimes that is through content, but they're finding ways to show up and serve daily. And they're finding ways to take that active sales action daily. Those are all daily actions that they're consistently taking. That's something I put in your playbook. Identify what are the daily actions you can take to build relationships and connect, to share content. Content is so important in your business, y'all, to be of service and to make those active sales actions. If you do this daily, that is going to compound in your business. That is going to give you such a return on your time and on your actions over time. I mean, it will immediately, but it will also long term. And that's something, just as we think about the fast action, but that's specifically some of the actions my clients are really focused on showing up for in their business and with their strategy. So in your playbook, there's just some places for you to identify what are those specific actions. Because if you can identify those for yourself now, it makes it a lot easier when you sit down to do work to know exactly what to show up for. I think one of the biggest things that delays taking action is we don't actually know what we should do. And that's what stalls a lot of action out. If you can really identify those for yourself, it makes it really clear to sit down on your laptop, open it up, and execute on those few things you know you need to do, versus like getting lost in the scroll or checking email. That's not what we want to do. Okay. Last thing here with action, something I coach my clients on and we have so many conversations around, is to keep taking those daily actions even when results aren't showing up. One of the biggest things when it comes to action that I think sabotages business owners is stopping and starting to take action, not seeing immediate results, getting really frustrated, and then either stopping completely and then like showing up again in 3 months, or changing focus and doing something else. What creates results in business is consistency with showing up, but also consistency with your strategy. Every single business owner I know and have worked with, there is I call it the gap, but there is a time period between having an idea, having a strategy, showing up, taking action, and when the results show up. The gap is different for everyone. For some people, it's like 2 days. For other people, it's 6 months. There's different factors. Some of it's mindset, some of it's experience. There's different factors that play into what that gap is. What I know is if you have your clarity and your mindset and your strategy, and you show up and take action on it every day, like we talked about, those pieces, the relationship building, the service, the content, the sales actions, you will get results. What will kill this part of your business, or what will kill this for you, is if before the results show up, you stop taking action. And this is where mindset comes into play. I urge you to not stop taking action before the results start showing up. That is what is going to give you the result. I cannot tell you how many conversations I have with clients when they're in that gap and they're so frustrated. The frustration is normal, y'all. The results are on the other side of that frustration when you keep showing up. I was talking to a client earlier this week in base camp. We were talking about this idea, and we were using the gym analogy. If you want six-pack abs and you go to the gym and you start working out, it's really easy. Let's say you've been going for 2 weeks. So look down, I'm working out for 2 weeks. What the heck? I don't have six-pack abs, and to want to just quit. When in reality, if you've been working out every day for 2 weeks, your abs are coming. They're there. You just can't see them yet. And they're already starting to form. You're already starting to get results. They're already on the way. You're absolutely going to get them if you keep showing up and doing those sit-ups. The only way you're not going to get those abs is if you're well, this doesn't work. This is stupid. And you stop doing the stomach crunches or the ab workout. So I know that's a bit of a silly example, but that's exactly what we're talking about here. When we're talking about action and that consistency, it's also being consistent with the strategy you're using and staying in until the results show up. If you can commit to that, your future self thanks you. And I know that is a mindset work piece as well, because I know when you're sitting in the frustration, especially, if the gap is a little bit longer, that can play some mind games with you, and that's where coaching can be really powerful. But I promise you, that is a difference maker. And every client who's been willing to hang out until the results show up, later on, thanks me and wants to hug me, because that's when, all the money's rolling in. Okay. I think that was everything I had on action. The last thing I put in the playbook for you, just as we're speaking to action, just something for you to think about on, is how can you set yourself up for success? I think right now, always, but we talked about this in last week's live stream, there's just a lot more noise and distractions and, kids at home or Zoom calls popping up. So I think it's just really helpful to get clear on how you can set yourself up for success. Do you need to schedule things in? Do you need to batch your time out? Do you need to delegate more? Do you need to say no more? Do you need to communicate boundaries? Do you need to set up self-care? What can you do for yourself so that when you sit down to take action on your strategy, you're focused on that clarity piece and can really execute and get those results, versus sitting down and suddenly 3 hours have passed and you're well, shit, what did I actually do? I didn't move the business needle forward at all. So I think it's just really helpful to get clear on what do you need as a CEO to be able to show up and get those results. And to really just set yourself up for success. Jocelyn says, for the body fitness, some people take 90 days and some will take a year, but definitely will get the result. Thank you for chiming in with that. It's exactly that. If you keep showing up, everyone's got a different body. Everyone's got a different, level of fitness they're starting with. Some people will get abs very quickly, and some it will take a year, but if you keep showing up, you'll absolutely get the result. It's just science, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing here. This up here is what keeps us from keep showing up, from continuing to show up. But if you keep showing up and, you've got that clarity piece in place and the mindset in place, and you're really clear and focused on your strategy, it's really inevitable that you'll get results. And particularly right now, it's really easy to make this to want to be a time to run and hide. This doesn't mean you have to burn out, but how can you continue to focus in on those pieces and show up, even when maybe it feels uncomfortable, even when, you don't have as many hours? How can you use some of the strategy we talked about to find ways, even if you only have an hour a day, to continue to take action in the way it makes sense for you and for your business? Okay, I think that's everything there. So I know I threw a lot at you. Again, I probably should have spread this out over the week, but I really want you to have it all in one place because it feels important. My battery is dying. That's how long we've been going. I hope this was helpful for you. I really wanted to give you all the pieces with the clarity, mindset, strategy, and action that my clients are following, that I am following, that is working for us in business right now to make more money, to get those record-breaking income months, and that is working for us outside of COVID-19. Yes, this is a COVID-19 conversation, but this is really a always in business conversation. So I really, really hope this is helpful for you. I hope you will take your playbook and answer some of those questions, journal on them, and implement this in your business. If you will, I promise you, you will get results in your business. I also know for some of you, this is like, okay, this is awesome, but like, I don't understand the 80-20 in my business, or I'm not sure how to pinpoint my messaging, or like, right, I need to sell more, but how do I actually do that? Or the mindset piece sounds cool, but my brain is like got a little monkey man in there, like clapping chimes all the time, and how do I get that little chime guy to quiet down because it's really loud right now? Or you said to take up a whole lot of space, but really I just feel like hiding and Netflixing and chill. If that is you, I hear you. Most of my clients feel that way at some point. That is what I support my clients with. I'm really, really good at it. I'm an excellent coach. I think I'm literally the best investment you can make in your business if you're someone who wants to build, grow, and scale a business you love and do it your way. If you are a service-based, heart-centered entrepreneur, if you want to work your mindset so you can get out of your own way and take up space like a boss, if you want that clarity, if you want to get that simple strategy with your messaging, your marketing, your sales, and take action on it so you can make more money, I'm gonna walk my talk here and own that I'm really fucking good at what I do. Book a call with me. Let's chat. Let's chat about how I can help you make more money in your business. I would love, love, love to chat with you. I have, I think, 1 or 2 spots opening up next month in, is it May already? In May. So book a call with me. I'll drop a link for that. I would love to support you. And for all of you, thank you for hanging out with me. It has been so much fun. I loved getting to share this with you. If you're watching on the replay, throw any questions you have my way. I'll make sure to send the replay link out with the playbook again for those of you who hadn't signed up and didn't get it. And I'll answer any of these. Just tag me if you have a question. I'll answer any of these throughout the next week. We'll keep this replay up for the full week. And then I'll be back next Tuesday with a regular live stream. All right, lots of love, you all. Stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you next week. Bye.